We're diving deep into the top 3 most valuable and historically fascinating United States 1-cent coins. These pennies may seem ordinary at first glance, but their stories and auction prices are anything but small. So if you have a jar full of old change or just inherited a coin collection, pay close attention. These could be hiding in plain sight. In this video, we take a close look at the 1968 United States 1-cent coin, also known as the Lincoln Memorial Penny. Whether you're a new collector or someone who's just discovered this coin in your pocket or old collection, this episode will explain everything you need to know, from its history, design details, minting errors, to how much it's worth today. Let's begin with a brief historical background. The 1968 Lincoln cent was minted at the Denver Mint, which is why it carries the D Mint mark under the year. This coin was part of the Lincoln Memorial Penny series, which ran from 1959 to 2008, and replaced the earlier wheat cent design. The Lincoln cent has the longest running design in U.S. coin history, and the 1968 is part of that legacy. The obverse, or front side, of the coin features a right-facing bust of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His initials, VD, are engraved on the shoulder of Lincoln. The words, "In God We Trust," arc above Lincoln's head, while the word, "Liberty," appears to his left, and the year, 1968, with the D Mint mark, is stamped to the right. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side. This design was created by Frank Gasparo and replaced the famous wheat ears in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. If you look closely, you can even see a tiny statue of Lincoln between the columns, just like in the real-life monument in Washington, D.C. Now, let's talk about how many of these coins were produced. In 1968, the Denver Mint struck over 2.89 billion 1-cent coins. Yes, that's 2,886,755,000 to be exact. Because of this massive mintage, the 1968 penny is considered very common in circulated condition. Millions of them are still in drawers, jars, and wallets across America. But does that mean the 1968 penny is worthless? Not exactly. In circulated condition, like those found in your pocket or change jar, this coin is generally worth 1 cent to 3 cents, depending on the wear and color. However, coins in uncirculated or mint state MS condition can be much more valuable to collectors. For example, a 1968 penny graded Ms. 65 red can sell for $8 to $15. In Ms. 66 red, the value increases to around $30 to $40. The highest known grade, Ms. 67 red, is extremely rare and can sell for over $100 to $150 at auction. The most valuable 1968 Lincoln cent ever sold was graded Ms. 67 Plus RD by PCGs, and it went for more than $500 in a premium coin auction. While this is not typical, it shows what's possible if your coin is in pristine condition with full red luster, sharp details, and zero contact marks. But wait, it gets more interesting when we talk about errors and varieties. Error coins can be worth many times more than their face value. Some known 1968 penny errors include off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing due to misalignment. Double die obverse do errors, where parts of the date or letters appear double. By errors, a small die break between the letters B and E in Liberty, forming what looks like an extra I. Struck through grease or debris, which causes parts of the design to appear faint or missing. If you have a 1968 penny with one of these errors, it could be worth $10 to several $100s, depending on the rarity and grade. Always check your coin under magnification and consult a professional, or submit it to a grading service like PCGs or NGC to confirm its value. Now, let's talk briefly about the metal composition. Unlike the copper-coated zinc pennies we use today, the 1968 penny is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition lasted until 1982, when copper prices rose and the U.S. Mint switched to copper-plated zinc. Each 1968D penny weighs 3.11 grams, and even the metal alone is worth something to bulk copper investors. As of today's copper prices, the melt value of a single copper cent is around 2 to 3 cents. However, melting pennies is illegal in the US, so these coins must be sold or collected for their numismatic value. Now, let it summarize. If you find a 1968D penny in average circulated condition, it's worth face value 1 cent. If it's in uncirculated red condition, it may be worth $10, $20, or even $100 plus. And if it has a rare error or a high-grade certification, its value can go even higher. While it's not the rarest coin out there, it's still a valuable part of American coinage history, especially if you're starting a Lincoln Memorial penny collection. In today's video, we explore the 1964 United States 1 cent coin, commonly known as the 1964 Lincoln Memorial penny. This simple, copper-colored coin might seem ordinary, but it holds historical importance and hidden value, especially for collectors of American coins. If you've ever found a 1964 penny in your pocket or coin jar, stay tuned because we're going to cover everything you need to know about this coin's history, design, errors, and its current market value, especially in fine condition. The 1964 penny belongs to the long-running Lincoln cent series, which began in 1909 and still continues today. By 1964, the reverse of the coin had already changed from the wheat ears design to the Lincoln Memorial design. This memorial reverse was introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, so the 1964 penny was part of the early years of this new design. These coins were minted both in Philadelphia and Denver. The ones with no mint mark were made in Philadelphia. That's the type we're discussing today, 1964 without mint mark. In fine condition, the front side of the coin features a right-facing bust of President Abraham Lincoln. The design was created by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VD appear at the bottom of Lincoln's shoulder. Above Lincoln's head are the words, "In God We Trust." To the left is the word, "Liberty," and to the right is the date 1964. There is no mint mark, meaning this particular coin was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. On the reverse side is the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. If you look closely between the columns, you'll see a tiny statue of Lincoln seated just like in the real-life memorial in Washington, D.C. Across the top it says, United States of America, with E Pluribus Unum just below. At the bottom of the coin is the word 1 cent. Now, let's talk about mintage numbers. In 1964, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 2.65 billion 1 cent coins, exactly 2,648,575,000 to be precise. That's one of the highest mintage figures for any Lincoln penny. Because of this, the 1964 penny is very common and easy to find in circulation even today. That said, it still holds value for collectors, especially when it's in better condition or has an error. Let's talk about the value in fine condition. A fine condition coin is one that has seen some circulation. It may have light wear, but major details are still clearly visible. In this grade, the 1964 penny is typically worth around 2 to 5 cents, depending on the quality of the strike and the buyer. While that may not sound like much, it's still 2 to 5 times its face value. In higher grades like extremely fine, about uncirculated or uncirculated red, the value can increase significantly. For example, an uncirculated 1964 penny graded Ms. 65 red can sell for around $8 to $15. The finest examples graded Ms. 67 red by PCGs have sold for $150 to $300 or more at auction. Let's not forget the coin's metal value. The 1964 penny was made from 95% copper and 5% zinc. That gives it a heavier weight than modern pennies, 3.11 grams, compared to 2.5 grams for today's zinc pennies. Because of the copper content, the melt value alone of a 1964 penny is around 2.5 to 3 cents, depending on the market price of copper. However, Melting pennies is illegal in the United States, so they must be kept, sold, or collected, not destroyed for their metal. Collectors are often interested in 1964 pennies not just for their history or design, but for their error types. Some 1964 pennies have been found with die cracks, struck through grease errors, off-center strikes, or even double die reverses. These error coins are rare and can command much higher prices. A simple off-center error can bring in $10 to $50, while a double die coin, if confirmed by a grading service, could sell for over $100 depending on the clarity of the doubling. Now, let's talk about why the 1964 penny is important historically. The year 1964 was a time of great change in America, both culturally and economically. This was the last full year that U.S. coins were made with high percentages of copper and silver. After this period, in 1965, the Coinage Act changed the composition of many U.S. coins, including the reduction of silver in quarters and dimes. So even though the penny kept its copper content until 1982, the 1964 coin is part of that last era of solid metal coinage in the United States. That's why many collectors see the 1964 penny as part of a turning point in U.S. coin history. It was also the final year before the U.S. Mint removed dates from proof coins temporarily due to coin shortages. So, what does this mean for you? If you have a 1964 penny without mint mark in fine condition, it's likely worth more than face value, about 2 to 5 cents on the collector market. If it's in better shape, it could be worth much more. And if it has an error, you might have a very valuable penny on your hands. The key is to look carefully at the details. Is the coin a clean red color? Is the design still sharp? Are there any signs of doubling or minting mistakes? Every detail matters in numismatics. Even common coins can have rare surprises. Today, we explore one of the most common, yet often overlooked coins in American history, the 1966 United States 1-cent coin, also known as the Lincoln Memorial Penny. This coin may look simple and ordinary, but in numismatics, every coin has a story, and the 1966 penny is no exception. In this episode, we break down everything about this coin: its history, mintage, composition, special features, known mint errors, and most importantly, what it's worth today in fine condition. Let's begin with the design of the coin. The obverse or front of the 1966 Lincoln cent features a familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This design was created by Victor David Brenner and has remained in use since 1909. On the 1966 coin, Lincoln faces to the right. Above his head are the words, "In God We Trust." To the left is the word "Liberty," and to the right is the date, 1966. If you're wondering why there's no mint mark, that's not an error. In fact, the 1966 penny does not have a mint mark by design. During this time, the U.S. Mint temporarily removed mint marks from coins to discourage coin hoarding during the coin shortage of the mid-1960s. The reverse, or back of the coin features the Lincoln Memorial, a grand monument located in Washington, D.C., where you can even see a tiny seated statue of Lincoln between the columns. This reverse design replaced the earlier Wheatier's design in 1959, and was created by Frank Gasparo. Above the memorial are the words, "United States of America." Below that is, "E pluribus unum," and at the bottom of the coin is the denomination, 1 cent. It's a beautiful and iconic design that was in use until 2008. Now, let's talk about the mintage and composition of the 1966 penny. The U.S. Mint produced an estimated 2,188,147,783 of these coins in 1966. They were all struck in Philadelphia, and some possibly in Denver and San Francisco, but none of them have mint marks, so they all look the same to the eye. These coins were struck using the standard 95% copper and 5% zinc alloy, giving them a heavier weight of 3.11 grams, unlike the lighter post 1982 zinc pennies. Because of this high copper content, each 1966 penny also carries some intrinsic metal, value around 2 to 3 cents, depending on the current price of copper. However, melting pennies for their metal is illegal in the United States, so the value lies in collecting, not in melting. Now, let's look at the coin's value in the coin market today. If you have a 1966 Lincoln penny in fine condition, typically holds a value of 2 to 5 cents. Fine condition means the coin has noticeable wear, but still retains visible design details. It's common among circulated coins, and most collectors would consider it a starter grade example. While these aren't extremely valuable in this condition, they are still collectible, especially when found in large quantities or stored with care. But if your 1966 penny is in higher grades, such as extremely fine, about uncirculated, or uncirculated red Ms. 65 or higher, its value rises quickly. A 1966 penny in Ms. 65 red condition can be worth $8 to $12, while in Ms. 66 red may sell for $25 to $50. One of the highest graded examples, in Ms. 67 plus red certified by PCGs or NGC, sold for over $300 at auction. Coins with bright red surfaces, no scratches, and strong details are always in demand among collectors. Now, explore some special varieties and era coins from 1966 that can significantly raise value. One known variety includes die cracks, where raised lines appear across the coin due to damage on the die used to strike it. There are also examples of off-center strikes, where the design is visibly misaligned, and struck through grease errors, where parts of the design appear missing or faded. These error coins can range in value from $10 to over $100, depending on the severity and uniqueness of the error. Some 1966 pennies also exhibit light signs of double die errors, where elements of the design like the date or lettering appear double. These must be professionally authenticated and graded to confirm value, but if verified, can be worth significantly more than regular examples. Another unique feature of the 1966 penny is its place in U.S. monetary history. 1966 was part of a 3-year period where mint marks were completely removed from all U.S. coins as part of the U.S. Mint's response to coin shortages and hoarding caused by rising silver prices. This makes the 1966 cent one of the few in American history deliberately struck without a mint mark, even though coins were being produced at multiple locations. If you're holding onto a 1966 penny, take a closer look. Does it have sharp details and red luster? Could it be uncirculated? Does it show signs of an error? Even if it's just in fine condition, it's a piece of mid-century American coinage with solid copper content and a meaningful place in U.S. mint history. Saving copper pennies has become more popular in recent years, and collectors continue to buy these coins in rolls and bags, so even common coins like the 1966 penny can find buyers if packaged or preserved well. In conclusion, the 1966 Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin may be common, but it's far from worthless. In fine condition, it typically sells for 2 to 5 cents, but in uncirculated condition or with verified mint errors, it could be worth $10, $50, or even more. It's a copper coin from a time when U.S. currency was beginning to transition away from traditional metal compositions, and it has a unique minting story. Whether you're a collector or just curious about your old change, it's worth keeping and examining.